Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining webinar today. This is part 4 of the year-end reporting presentation. We are actually going to cover 2 parts, which are, it's going to be other year-end reports, along with some final tips. Now, I ended part 3 briefly mentioning other year-end reporting, and it is a process of your FER. It is part of it, and you can't complete your FER until you've completed the other year-end reports. And we're going to go through some details of what these reports are, what they look like, and what needs to be included in completing these other year-end reports. The first one is expenditures by other agencies. So you're going to record expenditures made by other government agencies for the benefit of the schools. And you would do this by entering whatever function that you use, whether it's 71100, 71200, whatever function that you use and you pay expenditures out of. Some example of expenditures by other agencies would be your school resource officers that are paid by the county, or a police department that maybe pays a portion or all of your school resource officers. Another example would be capital projects paid by the county general for any other, maybe some HVAC replacement, school buses, roof replacement. Those are just a few examples of expenditures paid by other agencies. And please be thoughtful in filling in this information if it applies to your district, because it's important that we have this, and a lot of times these reports do not get filled in, even though this one particular, even though it does apply to your LEA. Another one is expenditures for school indebtedness. What is included in this other year-end report? This resembles a statement of expenditures for debt. So the 2 things you're going to enter here are the total principal and interest paid on debt. So you're going to enter the total amount paid by the schools directly to the creditors, or you're going to enter a total amount paid by schools to local government agency. Enter this information for all types of debts that are listed in this report. And ePlan will total all this automatically. Your total amount will automatically be generated through ePlan. So basically, this is a statement of expenditures for the debt, and what the amounts that you're going to put here are your principal and interest that are paid on that amount, whether it's paid directly by the schools or whether it's paid by another government agency. This is what the school indebtedness looks like. So you can see that this LEA only had bonded debt, but on the top portion it showed how much they paid on principal and how much they paid on interest of that bonded debt. And at the bottom, you can see it was paid by local non-educational agencies, and it totaled at the bottom. So this one's complete unless you also had capitalized leases or other loans or notes payable. Now, the third year-end report is school indebtedness. And what applies here is you put the beginning balance of debt as of July 1 of 2019. So what you began with, what was your debt balance as of July 1, 2019? And principal paid down. So, or principal that retired during FY20. So this is the principal amount. The third thing is any new bonds or notes that were issued in FY20 apply to this report. And the last thing is the ending balance of debt as of June 30th, 2020. So you're going to record debt held by the school district or by the local government. The principal paid on this report should be the same amount of principal payments reported on the previous report that we just spoke about, which is expenditures for school indebtedness report. The principal amounts on both of these reports should be the same. As you can see, the interest is not part of the school indebtedness, only the principal. This is what the school indebtedness report looks like. It looks somewhat like the previous one. You start, as you can see, you start with your outstanding debt as of July 1, 2019. You can see the principal amount here that should be the same principal amount as the previous other year-end report. And then you have a net amount. The next other year-end report is non-centralized cafeteria. So this is only for those systems without centralized cafeteria. And what you're reporting here, you're going to put your total cafeteria expenditures, your total for cafeteria equipment expenditures, and a total of non-centralized commodities. So if you're a centralized cafeteria, then you will report school nutrition revenue and expenditures in 143, like the commodities that we spoke about previously. So this is only for non-centralized cafeteria. So this should not apply to many districts, this particular year-end report. This is an example of what that non-centralized cafeteria looks like. You can see the expenditures, the equipment expenditures for cafeteria, and the commodities, and then you have a net amount at the bottom. The next other year-end report is student activity funds. So this is one that seems to be confusing a lot, so I hope this helps. So you're going to report your general fund revenue and expenditures, and you're going to report your restricted fund revenue and expenditures. You're going to report your board allocations to general and or restricted funds. What are report board allocations? What are the board allocations to general and restricted funds? These are funds transferred from the general purpose fund to individual school activity accounts. Example of this is the $200 teacher requirement by the BEP that many districts transfer to their schools. That's an example, but many districts transfer more than just that $200 requirement. If so, that's where you report these board allocations. This is what the Student Activity Fund year-end report looks like. You've got the general fund income, the general fund expenditures, your restricted fund income, your restricted fund expenditures, and then you've got your general fund BOE allocations and your restricted fund BOE allocations. And then you've got a for school books, yeah. So you've got, basically you've got your books, your revenues, your expenditures for general and restricted, and then you've got your board allocations. The next other year-end report is tuition. Report tuition paid to an out-of-state school district. This only applies to one district in Tennessee in FY19. So I'm assuming this probably is still just the same district. But it is tuition paid out-of-state LEAs. Career Ladder is our last year-end report. This amount should agree when you look at your 141 balance sheet on beginning and year-end reserves. So E-Plan is already going to have your beginning fund balance in here for your career ladder, which is 34560. If it's not the same, you need to check and make sure do you need to make adjustment in this report, or make sure that your report that you pulled to look at your career ladder balance, your ending reserve, make sure it's correct, because sometimes auditors do make adjustments on those reserves. So be sure that it's correct on your report, because we want to be sure that this other year-end report is correct, because this is what we look at in order to know what you need to be paid during the school year for career ladder payments. So you'll put all your data in here, your CEO payments, your payments to regular personnel, your payments to your retired. Basically, the calculation that you've already done just needs to be reflected in this career ladder report. In the end, at the very bottom of this screenshot of the career ladder supplement equity end of year, the very bottom line should match your books. So look at the beginning, the top line, to make sure it matches what your book says, and look at the bottom line, because your new ending reserve should match that as well. And last thing is we're going to have a few final tips that we'd like to share. Just remember, when creating the upload file, to increase the speed of the upload, you may want to remove any line items that are zero. For example, 141, we all know it's the largest fund, and sometimes when it's really, really slow at uploading and you have lots of zeros in your template, in your upload, you may want to remove those line items. Be sure to check totals against your general ledger as you go. You know, look at your revenue totals by category and overall total to make sure that your books match what you're uploading in ePlan. The same for expenditures. Look at expenditures by category and total to make sure your books reflect the same thing you're uploading in ePlan. Make sure they match. The same thing for your reserves. So make sure they both match. Another tip is check validation messages on this sections page. If you click on these hyperlinks, they will take you to the problem. You may have negative assets and negative liabilities and or negative reserves. You may not have negative revenues or expenditures. So keep those two things in mind as you're completing these final expenditure reports. Please reach out to any of your fiscal consultants with any questions, concerns. We're here to help you, support you. Thanks for being part of the webinar. This does complete the entire presentation. Again, I wanted to remind you all that this is a 4-part presentation broken up so you can review what applies to you, what you need the most support in. Thank you. Have a great day.